You should never judge a book by its cover, but you can sure judge a cover by its cover. Limp Bizkit's Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water is an album with an cover. First off, the babies. What healthy and properly nourished babies. They must be getting all their nutrients from this sea of hot dogs, and we're already going against the album title. Is it Hot Dog Flavored Water or Hot Dog Water? Limp Bizkit, choose your words more carefully next time. And between the babies and the hot dogs, you probably didn't even notice the starfish with a face I don't think I can show up close, or the mysterious white haze, or how the album title text is uncomfortably close to the edges of the cover. Truly, this is a masterclass in album art design. Album artwork has a history as vast as the music it accompanies, but what happens when a cover doesn't land with listeners? And what even makes for the worst album cover ever? Like my video on the worst song ever, this is not going to be what is the worst album cover ever, but rather, why is the worst album cover ever? Shout out to my Patreon members who gave me album covers to talk about. The worst album cover is gross. Kevo Mooney being birthed by a goat, the Beatles surrounded by dead baby parts, this guy with a guitar-shaped member. Is that a Fender Strat in your pocket? Because that's disgusting. Redneck's Sex and Violins does not feature sex or violins, but instead has all the bandmates in this yellow liquid. And if you're wondering where that yellow liquid is coming from, might I direct you to the alternate cover for Tyler the Creator's Cherry Bomb. The poster child for gross album covers, IMO, is Black Flag's What The. There's no one element here that makes it gross, but rather everything in aggregate. The juvenile cartoon head with a green tongue, the puke in the background, the random text placement. It's a surreal feeling when everything is put together. I used to think the guy was puking, but the puke is behind him. So are the two unrelated? Is he turning around to show you the puke? Is he proud of his puke? The worst album cover is ugly. Take a look at Corey Feldman's Angelic to the Core. Sloppy green screen, difficult to read text, black bars at the top and bottom, at least if you're on streaming. It just doesn't look good. This category is for those album covers that may not be gross, but just aren't fun to look at. Nav's Brown Boy 2 features Nav as Pixar AI before Pixar AI was even a thing.
The bootleg Batman ampersand written by Kanye West and Jay-Z has probably the funniest artwork I've seen. It features the duo photoshopped as the titular characters and the proportions are completely off. There's also a pigeon there for some reason.
David Bowie's Reality has the man looking like Japanese culture Greg.
Come on, Tsuzuko. We're too cool for the prom anyway.
Fleetwood Mac's Mystery to Me. Now, I can acknowledge that this is not the most aesthetically pleasing cover. A gorilla eating a cake is acceptable, but when he takes a chomp out of a book, that's too far. But I get such a kick out of it, and the other early 70s Fleetwood Mac covers. How are you gonna hate on the cover for Penguin, Chumbawamba's Tub?
Paul McCartney's Driving Rain album cover being taken with a casino watch. It looks hideous.
And how could we forget Iron Maiden's Dance of Death? Oh, this cover doesn't look ugly to you? Oh, my bad. I pulled the unused version. Let me fix that. Ah, much better. Look at all these wonderful CGI abominations. Okay, that's a bit rude. Some of them are okay. They could have been extras on Reboot. But then you've got the baby from those Instagram reels that I watched to fall asleep, superimposed on a wolf. And don't forget this guy on the side with the freakishly long neck. Bro, you and the boned guy need to go to a doctor stat. The worst album cover is chaotic. If ugly is one side of the coin, chaotic is the other side. And the overall coin has just the worst genes. Ugly covers hit you with one or two main sources of ugh, but chaotic covers throw everything at you to create this delirious feeling, like you're eating glue in the same way the Mystery to Me gorilla ate cake. Sometimes it's appeals to our childhood, like Lil Flip's The Leprechaun or Gucci Mane's Trap Story. Sometimes it's boneheaded creative decisions. All of the guys in Creed as a tree. Finally. The tree. Then there's Queen's The Miracle, showing the bandmates literally as one. How much do you think their vision insurance is?
Green Day's Father of All Motherfuckers is an embarrassment and a cluttered mess. It takes the iconic American Idiot cover and rubs it against concrete to add these ugly white splotches. It then haphazardly squirts the band's name in ketchup over it and censors motherfuckers with a unicorn barfing a rainbow. Billy Joe explained it as nothing says f you like a unicorn.
Yes, mosquito. This is like if a Garbage Pail Kid grew up and became a creative director. The weird 3D modeling, the baby with the puke on its mouth, maybe a relative of Black Flag's, the mosquito with the glowing abdomen. I would dismiss the whole album based on the cover if it didn't have the band's best song ever. While we've got this garbage pail aesthetic, Tones and I's welcome to the madhouse. I feel like if I scratched this cover and then sniffed it, it would smell like rotten fruit roll-ups. And of course, the classic, Dr. Doom's First Come, First Served.
The sandwich. Yummy, yummy.
The worst album cover is offensive. EC Was Here is pretty self-explanatory. Eric Clapton seems to have written the album title on a woman's nude back. I'd say this is the most offensive thing Eric could have written, but then I thank God no one brought up immigrants during this photo shoot. But potshots at Eric Clapton are easy. Let's put our lives on the line for a sec. Take a chance. Live a little. Not like that, though.
I'm gonna throw a hot take in the ring here and say Nirvana's Nevermind cover would never even come close to being made into actual existence these days, and anyone who comes up with the idea of putting a full frontal naked baby in a swimming pool would most likely, hopefully, get shot down real quick.
That's a good question. Would Nevermind's cover fly in this day and age? When Drake drops Iceman, could he put a naked baby swimming to $1 on the cover? Okay, maybe that's like the worst artist example I could pick for the scenario, but what about when Kendrick drops Fireman? Could he put a naked baby swimming through lava on the cover? Just because something was crucial for its time doesn't mean we have to ignore its flaws nowadays. Super Mario 64 is a landmark achievement in 3D gaming, but when you go back and play it, you're like, oh, so that's how the camera works? Some folks told me about Scorpion's Virgin Killer, and honestly, I don't see the big deal. It's just the bandmates posing on the cover. That's not... What? That's not the original cover. Oh, God! Can I even show this? The cover of Virgin Killer is a nude preteen girl. This is gross and ugly and offensive, all wrapped into one. Let's move on from that cover immediately and instead talk about why are there more of these covers? If I had a nickel for every time I saw a rock band's album cover featuring a nude underage person, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but burn my eyeballs out of my skull. The worst album cover is zoomed out. Forgive me, this is more of a personal annoyance, but I'm never gonna be able to make a full video about this, so I'm putting it here. Recently, we've been getting pop album covers where the artist is like, shoop. Sometimes it's simple, like Doja Cat hanging from a tree. Sometimes it's busy, like Demi Lovato with a bunch of people, kinda like Dance of Death. To me, these can feel haphazard, lacking in a clear vision. At worst, I see them and I'm like, oh, so you just wanted assets that could be cropped to fit a phone screen. I know the phones rule our lives, but you ain't gotta remind me of that. I suppose I'd normally put these in another category, but I can't put Demi Lovato in the same tier as Trap Story because then I would get doxxed. And also, these covers aren't ugly. They're well lit and aesthetically fine. I just don't like them. In contrast, you can smack talk Gracie Abrams' The Secret of Us all you want, and feel free because that's not a very good cover for its own reasons, but at least her face is right there. The worst album cover is low effort. Hey everyone, it's my original fan character, MF Joke. I've got a great idea for a cover. Are you ready for this? White background, pregnant emoji, 12 times. That's it. It's a joker's world and you're lucky to be joking in it. There's also an unfortunate new trend of AI album covers, like Lil Yachty's Let's Start Here and Tears for Fear's Songs for a Nervous Planet. Despite this Tears for Fear cover looking so colorful and vibrant, I know that it took less work than if someone actually sat down and drew out the cover. I know that it was made cheaply and quickly. It's an interesting paradox when it comes to AI art. Let's take a look at another cheap AI cover, and like that, my career is over.
That Sounds has such a boring cover despite being one of the greatest albums ever made. The cover makes it look like the Beach Boys literally recorded an album all about farm animals.
I mean, it's accurate at least. There are Beach Boys, and there are pets, and there are implied sounds. That goat is probably going.
Never been a big fan of humans. Album cover just being demon days but not as nice to look at.
Wait, sorry. I have such a pet peeve when it comes to the humans cover. It's the four gorillas in their own squares, right? Murdoch, bottom right, head aimed to the right. Russell, bottom left, head aimed to the left. Tootie, top left, head aimed to the left. Noodle, top right, head aimed straight ahead. I'm not joking. This keeps me up at night.
I'm still unable to convince myself on that original Brat cover. I love the album, the concept, everything about it, but the green to this day is still just too jarring and garish.
Brat is definitely striking and a nice counter to those pop album covers I was mentioning before. I like it a good deal. That said, if you don't like the color green or these letters, yeah, it's not gonna work. You know what else might not work for you? Beyonce's self-titled. Listen, if we're gonna come at album covers with one word and one background color, we've gotta be fair.
I've never cared for Beyonce's self-titled cover. It's a great album, but sometimes the cover makes me not want to listen, to the point that when it originally dropped, I assumed it was a prank album.
If nothing else, it certainly makes a statement. Brat does as well, but there's something about a pure black background that signals authority, command, the presence of the song Blow. And hey, let's throw one more similar cover on the fire, Talking Head 77. It's certainly not bad, but if you're not a fan of green text or red backgrounds, you better run away. Oh! And finally, the worst album cover is correct. I'd like to end this with a famous cover from a famously bad album, Weezer's Ratitude. This is a classic bad album cover for what might be Weezer's least good album. It's juvenile and crass, like they think a funny dog can distract us from the existence of the song In the Mall. However, I want to defend it because this is the only cover that this album could have. Ratitude could not have a cover that looks like this or this or this. Even though the album isn't very good, the cover is the perfect accompaniment for the music. I've never meant this more than I mean it right now. It's got that dog in it. Some folks say album covers create worlds. I've never agreed. I think that's a lot to ask of a still image. In my mind, they're a door. The first impression of an album before you hear a lick of sound. At least if you're like me. And I don't know how, but somehow, the majority of times, the right album cover finds the right album. Not necessarily because they're both good, but more because they complete each other. You look at Life of Pablo and you're like, of course it has the song Silver Surfer Intermission. You look at George Harrison's Cloud 9 and you're like, of course he'll do a sick backflip. So maybe the worst album covers are actually the best album covers. Except for the ones with new children. Those are just god-awful. But hey, let me know what you think of all these album covers, if I missed any that you think are especially terrible, and if you enjoy this kind of look into the worst things in music, check out this video next.